Welcome to our lecture online. Now let's take a look at the third differential equation associated with the variable r. So here's the differential equation that we derived before. Now we're not actually going to solve the equation, at least not yet, that's for later. We're going to take a look at the equation and determine the conditions required by this portion of the equation. Now we can go back to what we saw before, that the kinetic energy of an electron is equal to 1/2 mv squared, and when we solved for that, we found that it was equal to k e squared divided by 2 times the radius of the orbit of the electron. And the total energy was equal to minus k e squared divided by 2r when we added the potential and the kinetic energy together. And again, if you're not sure where this came from, we have some videos earlier in the set here that show you how to do this. Now we know that the radius of the orbit of the electron in hydrogen as a function of the quantum number n representing the different energy levels, we figured out that this was equal to n squared h bar squared divided by m k e squared, m being the mass of the electron and e being the charge on the electron, or also the charge on the proton, of course. So if we then solve for the total energy from this equation right here, and we write it in terms of the quantum number n, we multiply this times this, or actually what I should say, we substitute for r what r is equal to in terms of the quantum number n, and we get an equation for the energy of the electron in terms of n, and if we simplify that, it looks like this. So this represents the energy of the electron in the hydrogen atom. Now, looking at this right here, we can multiply the energy times this, so there's the potential plus the kinetic energy, or the total energy multiplied times this, and so we multiply 2m over h bar squared times the total energy, in this case in terms of the quantum number n, which gives us this equation right here, or this result right here. Also, when we then take a look at this right here, realizing that r squared is determined by, where's my r here? I lost my r. Oh, here it is. I better circle it so I can find my r again. So here's my r sub n. If I plug that in here and divide it into L times L plus 1, which is what I did right here, we end up with this equation right here. So now we have this, which is represented by this, and we have this, which is represented by this, and we want to make sure then, the condition is that this L times L plus 1 divided by n to the fourth must be less than or equal to 1 over n squared. Where does that come from? Well, realize if you look here, we have an m squared k squared e to the fourth, m squared k squared e to the fourth. We have an h bar to the fourth, h bar to the fourth. The only thing that's different is the 1 over n squared and the L times L plus 1 over n to the fourth. So we have L times L plus 1 over n to the fourth must be less than or equal to 1 over n squared, and therefore L plus 1 must be less than or equal to n being the quantum number, L being the orbital quantum number, which means that L must always be equal to less, or should say less than or equal to n minus 1. So if the quantum number is 1, L must be 0. If the quantum number is 2, L can be 1, 0, or 1, and so forth. So now we have a relationship between the quantum number, the orbital quantum number, and the orbital magnetic quantum number based on the three differential equations. Now, we haven't solved the equations yet, so we don't know yet what the solution will be to the wave equation, I should say, to the three-dimensional wave equation, but that will come later. We'll show you how to do that. At least the three differential equations put upon us some conditions which required the relationship between the magnetic quantum number, the orbital quantum number, and the principal quantum number, and from that we'll be able to formulate a description of where the electron will be at, what the energy will be of the electron, the shell of the electron, the subshell of the electron, and so forth, and we'll get into the details of that as well. But at least now you see what we did. We took the Schrodinger equation, which was a three-dimensional equation in spherical coordinates. We then separated it into three separate equations, each a function of one of the variables only. We multiply that together to form the wave equation as a product of three functions, each representing only one of the three variables. We then found then the three differential equations associated with each of those three variables, and then the solution of those equations, or at least the differential equations, gave us conditions which then related the quantum numbers of the electron and the hydrogen atom to one another. We still have to find the solutions to the equation and the equation that describe the wave functions at various conditions for various values of the quantum numbers. That will come later. But at least we've got a good handle on it, and now we'll proceed with describing the various quantum numbers and how they relate to the electrons in the hydrogen atom. That's all coming up next.